that's what I'm saying. We didn't see yet the big ones, the big guns coming out. And so we have to wait and see, be patient with what is going on. Many people get excited naturally.
But
They
why
want
strategically, Andre, why strategically they wouldn't use the big guns now? Because I would think of it as they should use it early to try to end the war early. The more pressure they put on now, the quicker the war ends.
Doesn't work like this. In your operation planning is based not just on the some kind of the calculation, which of course it does, on calculation and inventory. You have models, you plug in numbers, you get yourself essentially the general understanding how operation should proceed. It is based also on a very many political moments which are related to the political dynamics in the area, which of course has a lot to do with those Gulf satrapies, monarchies, if you wish. It has a lot to do with the political intelligence in terms of the political dynamics in the United States, in Israel, and it goes on and on and on and builds itself into a very complex system of the interconnected factors, which you must consider when you do anything militarily. War is the continuation of the policy by other means. That's Clausewitz, and that's what it is. And we don't know what is happening right now behind the curtains, behind this whole mayhem. And you have to look at it in the conjunction with other events where essentially we can observe the collapse of the Western civilization as we knew it. And when you look attentively at the whole political dynamics, especially today with the shocking statement by Vladimir Putin, this is all the part of the larger picture, which you have to consider. Iranians do consider it. Guess what? Just the day before yesterday, Mr. Arakchi, the foreign minister of Iran, was speaking with Mr. Lavrov again, personally. So, of course, they do the printout, which is traditional, the generalizations. We spoke about this and that, but whatever they were discussing, guess what? Mr. Putin comes out today, and what did he say? We're going to be stopping now, most likely, the gas deliveries to Europe today. And so when you look attentively, yes, that's the statement of Mr. Putin. And when you look now attentively at the situation with the Qatar being paralyzed, what does it mean? It means the energy debt of Europe. And so the game is much larger than we may perceive. And as you correctly stated, do Chinese and Russians provide early warning and other type of information to Tehran? Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. This goes without saying. And so we have to look at it as a much larger picture, and especially with the catastrophe which is unfolding for the combined West in former Ukraine. So many people forget. Each day, Russia wipes out around 2,000 give and take personnel of the whatever is remaining of the armed forces of Ukraine. And we already, even CNN admits, it is a catastrophe in demographic catastrophe in Ukraine. So that was the biggest bet on the combined West. So, and here we are. But of course,
that's pretty significant, Andrei. Just a statement on what Putin said that he'll cut gas today to Europe. What's his strategy? Is he pressuring Europe to then pressure Trump to end the war, similar to what Iran is doing, pressuring the Gulf and pressure Trump?
No, Russians are not naive people. That's what many people do not understand. They know you cannot negotiate anything with the United States. Russia negotiates with the United States for the sake of negotiations, to basically signal to the outside world that, yeah, we are open for diplomatic solutions. Nobody has any illusions in Moscow or anywhere in Russia that the results will be achieved by the military methods only. And that's what Russia is doing. They negotiate, but the special military operation actually accelerates. And so at this stage, you have to understand the tectonic shift which happened in the world, not for China yet, but for Russia it happened, and it really matters because it's the largest nuclear superpower in the world, and especially in terms of the technology of the delivery system, which define the basically nuclear power. Europe, for Russians, is existential enemy. And that has to be understood. They also know that the United States is non-agreement capable, and any agreement which is signed with the United States is not worth the paper it's signed on, because it never will get ratified by US Congress anyway. And we have these complex dynamics. And so when you look at this, that's you have to again see the broader picture. And broader picture is catastrophic for Trump administration and for the United States, and especially for Europe, which is now going to be starved of energy.
Why? What's the strategy, though? I still don't understand. The timing of it is right after the call with the foreign minister. What other purpose could there be to blocking the gas than to end the war in Iran? Is it related to Ukraine?
Well, everything is related. Yeah, Iran is just the part of the larger picture of what is happening. And it has everything to do. These are symptoms. These are the things which doctors identify when they speak about the, ill person, a sick person, about what are your symptoms. Okay, I'm sneezing, I have cough or whatever, or others bleed from whatever. And so that's exactly what is happening. Russia will remove Europe as the industrial and military as pathetic as it is today, forever, for not to threat Russia ever again. And the same goes with the United States. Do Russians like what they see? Oh, yeah. They can see now what basically have been confirmed, that United States is basically running on empty. And what can I say?
Why running on an empty? The United States kicked out China from Panama. The United States removed.
Oh no, it's
removed Assad, Putin ally Assad as well. Like the US is, I don't agree with what's happening in Iran at all. I just, at least for now, unless things change. But it's also they're stepping on Iran and no one's coming to their rescue. So the strategy of America
have to come to rescue of Iran. That's the okay. You cannot be bigger Iranian than Iranians themselves. That's the thing which people do not understand. The paradigm shifted. All those, first, United States for Venezuela is in the retail trade of their presidents. So it's, forget about it. Syria, do not forget who asked Russians to come to Syria. It wasn't Assad. Anybody who have any illusions about this Russian-Syrian relations, I have a bridge to sell them. Actually, Syrians didn't like Russians there. It was General Soleimani and Iran, and General Soleimani flew to Moscow, and he met actually Mr. Putin, and he spoke to Minister of Defense. He tried to convince Russians to enter Syrian's fray. Guess what? Russians did. But guess what? What happened? Okay, Assad is removed. Where is the actually Khmeimim air base and the naval base of Russia in Tartus? Still there. Guess what? Mr. Giuliani says, actually, the guy who is the terrorist and the ISIS guy, he wants them what? To stay in Syria. Why do you think it is so? Well, because obviously Israel has all kinds of claims on the Syrian territory. Russian bases are there that guarantee that Syria survives in some form or shape as the unified state. So we have to keep in mind what is the real deal, what is happening not just behind, in the open, but many people ignore it because they do not understand significance. And that is why when people begin to use this general geopolitical argument, it's absolutely worthless without understanding of the overall picture and objectives of people who run their foreign policy today. And China, it's China's business. It's, again, Russia, if China, God forbids, attacked by the United States, Russia will come to help. And Russians are helping. I can sit here and list you the list, item by item, what Russians do for Chinese. And that has to be understood. And if we talk about Syria, okay, yeah, Assad removed, but Russians are still there. And actually, the government of Giuliani wants Russians to stay there. So Russians have those bases there. Now, what else? I don't know. It works just fine for Russians, and they need to eliminate European threat. What many people, again, don't forget, Europe is the source of the last two world wars. Catastrophic. They killed together in excess of 100 million people. That's Europe. Many people do not understand that. That was European economy, that was European ideologies, including Nazism, including all kinds of the radical views on the world. It all emanated from Europe. And as a result, Soviet people lost 27 million. Guess what? Russian people remember this really well, and nobody ever forgave Europe now for what Russians absorbed for the last 4 years in special military operation, with Europe and especially UK, Germany, and France being the champions of attacking Russia. So, what can I say?
But if you look at it as well optically, if you're an ally of Putin right now, you look at what happened to Pashinyan in Armenia. Russia did not come for the aid. Look what happens to Maduro. He's in American jail. Look what happened to Khamenei. He's dead. So you look at it. Doesn't it show like?
It shows not knowing the real state of the affairs. First, Russians have been wrapping up their presence in Venezuela for the last 4 years, at least. It was primarily Chinese. There were some Russian specialists, but Russians were actually exiting Venezuela. It was Chinese project there. So for Armenia is a hostile state to Russia. If anybody do not understand, you do not go there and save somebody. You cannot be more Armenian than Armenians. I don't know if people do not understand this fundamental issue of the geopolitics. Why should Russia go and save Armenians when Armenia proper doesn't care much about Russians? They want Russians to fight their wars. Russia is not doing this. So that is why Russia allowed Azerbaijan to take Karabakh. Simple as that. And so, people need to be kind of more sophisticated, except for the optics. And I understand for the lay people, for hoi polloi, essentially, sorry for using this, I myself part of the hoi polloi. Optics probably is everything. Reality on the ground is a completely different thing and requires completely different level of expertise.
What about Khamenei? What about Khamenei, Andrei? And Iran's importance to Russia, especially in the war in Ukraine, is supplying the drones. It's been a very close ally to Russia.
First, again, I have news. Iran doesn't supply drones to Russia. Who told you this?
They used to, but now they supply the technology.
Western media, okay, Wall Street Journal, geraniums, and it's unbelievable. Listen, you have to understand, Russian drones, geraniums, are not supplied by Iran. You go to Yelabuga, a number of other industrial facilities. You can look it up on the videos. Russia produces enormous amount of those geraniums completely on its own, completely on Russian composite materials. By the way, Iran doesn't have composite materials industry, so Russia does, massive one. And so, including radio electronics and including all kinds of other guidance systems and things of this nature. But then again, you see, that's the issue. You cannot get out of this bubble of the, unless, of course, you want to read my books. And this is public. The Western public lives in this bubble of the mainstream media, providing all those narratives, most of which are absolutely lie. I mean,
but just to answer, Andrei, Iran did, so I'm not saying they do now, they did for a period of time supply drones to Russia. They also supplied the technology for Russia to produce the Shahed drones. What I mean, though, is they were a very close ally to Russia. And now Russia's that ally is getting pummeled. The leader of that country, among other commanders, are getting killed.
That doesn't work like this. Again, I send you back to June 15th or 16th statement by Vladimir Putin. Okay, so if you don't believe me, you can go and look it up. It is all over the news. Vladimir Putin states, and I quote him, "We offered Iran cooperation in terms of air defense. Iran declined." Okay, so next thing, Russia and
in the 12-day war. In the 12-day war, correct? The 12-day war, correct?
Yeah, Russia offered Iran. Do you want S-400s? Do you want No, we don't. Okay, that's fine. Again, you cannot be more Iranian than Iranians themselves. And secondly, which has to be understood, do you know if any treaty exists on what is called mutual help or mutual aid between Iran and Russia? No, it doesn't exist. Iranians wouldn't like to sign it to start with. Do you know what mutual aid is? It's military alliance. Russia has only one country with which it has the military aid treaty. This treaty is between Russia and North Korea. And guess what? North Koreans participated in the special military operation and hailed as heroes both in Russia and in North Korea. That's it. Russia doesn't have this mutual aid with China. They obviously have a lot of all other treaties and negotiations and agreements in which are not binding. But again, What do you mean ally? Yes, Iran is ally of Russia. Russia is ally of Iran, and they obviously have extensive economic cooperation agreements, including the famous North-South, branch, so to speak, the railway and things of this nature. But no, Iran declined itself. So I'm sorry. What do you expect, Mr. Putin running behind, to Ali Khamenei and begging him to get Russian S-400, S-350 or Panzers? No, that doesn't work.
What I don't so there's a counter report. Obviously, we don't know for sure. The counter report is that Iran wanted support from Russia, and Russia refused because of their ties, very close ties with Israel. So my question to you,
complete baloney.
My question to you, Andrei, is though, but why would Iran not want Russia's help? Because they are maybe their capabilities did exceed at least my expectations, that's for sure. And even we got reports from the US. Trump himself said he was surprised how they struck the Gulf. I think most people say Iran did exceed expectations militarily, but they still don't have the capacity, unless you disagree, to deal with the world's most powerful military, or one of the most powerful militaries wherever you stand. So why would Iran not seek Russian support? It makes logical sense, no?
No,